Greetings! Here's a quick look at how to create a custom list of standards from Schoology's master library of national, Common Core, and state level standards. We'll start with creating a custom list in a shared Schoology group, and then also see how we can create our own private lists in our personal resources. Let's get started. Now normally, when I go to align standards to my materials in Schoology, I have to navigate through the entire master Schoology database of state level, Common Core, and different content area standards. So I got to go to grade 8, and then math, and then into each topic area. This can be extremely repetitive and take a lot of time. Instead, when we create our own organized list of standards, we can simply click the custom learning objectives and then go to our group or personal area, and then in those, find our customized personal list of all the standards that we can select all at once. Here's how. Many departments use Schoology groups for collaboration and sharing materials. To create a custom list of standards for our group to share, on the left we would first go to Resources, and then we need to enable the Learning Objectives option for our group. So I can then go in here, and we'll now have an Add button. Notice that we can upload our own custom learning objectives, or we also have access to that master Schoology database library. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to find, and I want to make my list just the Math 8 Next Generation Learning Standards. So I'm going to come into the tree and find, we have 5 topics, and I'm going to just go through and keep clicking in to check off each of the standards in those 5 topics. So I've got 3 sub areas here. Notice how in the upper right it's keeping track of the ones that I've selected. So I'm just going back and forth in the tree to select each of the individual options that I want to put in my own personal quick list. And then I'll come into here. Got those already, so I'm going to move on to functions. Now in some areas, be sure you scroll down to find each of the individual learning standards. I'm going to go into geometry. So as you can see, I'm just navigating in, selecting. Here's one that has a couple down below, going back up, making sure that I get all of the ones that I want. And I'm in the last, statistics and probability. Again, notice how it's keeping track of all of the ones I've selected, so I can check, did I miss any, and go back to browse. And then I'm going to add those chosen learning objectives to our group. Now when they first come in, you'll notice they might be in an odd order, but since Schoology has categorized and titled them alphabetically and numerically, I'm going to use the options auto arrange, and notice how they'll all be organized together. So here's our equations and expressions, our functions topic, then our geometry, then our number sense, and then our statistics and probability. Now, if I wanted to reorganize, maybe I want to bring the 2 number sense all the way to the top. So I can use those double arrows when I have the arrange mode on. So after I've chosen them and brought them into this list, I can use the auto arrange or the reorder and order the list as I choose. There we go. Now, when I'm working to align standards to my course materials, I can just open the browser, go right into custom learning objectives to our group in that math department, and I would have all of those right here without having to go back and forth between the folders and subfolders. We can also create and organize custom lists of standards in our personal resources area in Schoology. So here when I go to resources, on the left under personal, we already have the learning objectives area. We have that same add button. Now this time I'm going to create a folder because I'm going to want to collect my 8th grade math New York State standards here. But we also are doing a lot of emphasis on social emotional learning with our students this year. So I'm going to create a separate folder for those. So I'm creating 2 custom lists, so I'll have them available to me right away when I'm aligning standards to my course materials. So now that I've created the 2 folders for my lists, I'll begin by going into each one and using the Add State Standards to browse through the master database and find all of my 8th grade math standards. Again, I'll also use that Options Auto Arrange to put them all in order, make any other tweaks I'd like. Then I'll go back up and create my other list. So in this one, I'll go back to the state standards. Here in New York, we have the social and emotional learning benchmarks from a couple years ago. I'll also use that Options Auto Arrange for these. And so now in my personal Learning Objectives resource collection, I have these 2 quick lists for my Math 8 standards and SEL standards. So now, whenever I'm aligning standards to materials in my course, I can just open the Align or Learning Objectives tool, go into Custom in my personal, and I'll have my personal math list right here, and then also that personal list of the social emotional standards. So don't forget, if you work together with a department or PLC, you can create a shared collection of a customized, organized list of standards or learning objectives in your Schoology group, or you can create your own personal customized list of standards and learning objectives in your Schoology personal resources. And don't forget to visit the Schoology Help Center for What Are Learning Objectives to see all the steps and instructions for creating and organizing your own personal or shared group collections of learning standards and objectives. That's it. Thanks for watching.